Are you tired of not feeling like you're that bitch? Well, you've come to the right place. Welcome to the podcast, That Bitch Energy, where we're all about tuning in to your highest self and growing presence, awareness, and consciousness while keeping it all fun, relatable, and grounded. Let's get into this next episode and embody that bitch energy from within. Ain't nobody seen a bitch like me. I'ma come up on ya. Ain't nobody warned ya about a bitch like this. Tuned into my power. Juicy is my hour. I'm so excited to welcome Josie Thorne to That Bitch Energy, the podcast. Josie is a womb priestess devoted to guiding women into the relationship with their cyclical nature. Through her work, she holds sacred space for remembering the wisdom of the womb, reclaiming menstruation as something powerful rather than shameful, and bringing back ancient traditions like they do in Red Tent. Red Tent is spaces of rest, reflection, and reverence with other women during your bleed. And we're going to dive into more of what Red Tent is in the episode. But Josie also teaches how the menstrual cycle is not just about fertility, but it's truly a mirror to our overall health and a guide of our inner world. Josie's work helps us see how each phase of the cycle can reveal what we are abandoning in ourselves and how we can return to living in deeper alignment with our body's rhythms. So without further ado, welcome Josie Thorne to That Bitch Energy, the podcast. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation and get to share it with you all. Welcome Josie to That Bitch Energy, the podcast. Ooh! We just did a beautiful grounding practice before we hopped on here, and I feel so excited to have you here and honored, and I can't wait to hear your wisdom and your knowledge. And thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Bianca. I'm so grateful and excited to be here. Also, the podcast name is just like so on brand for me. I love that so much. Like, fuck yes, let's go to baddies on That Bitch Energy podcast. And one of my favorite topics, pussy power, badass bitch, goddess, womb energy. I'm so excited to get into all the juicy details. Thank you so much, babe.
Thank you. I got the chills when you were saying all those words. They're so powerful. And I used to be so triggered by them. I used to be so like, why are you saying pussy? Why are you saying, why are we talking about periods? Why are we talking about our vulva? Why are we talking about all of it?
Yeah.
So I can't believe I felt chills when you said those words. And I'm just very, very excited about diving into that. And I feel that that's probably a common thing for most women is we just don't want to talk about this stuff. And I think deep down we do, but because we are, taught to be uncomfortable and to not talk about it, to hide it, to cover it up. I feel so honored to have you on here so we can talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
And
amazing.
my
Let's
first,
fuck the stigmas.
the stigmas. Yes.
Uh,
You go ahead. I interrupted.
no, I was just gonna say, like, the only way to transmute stigma and shame is to talk about it. You know, it seems counterintuitive, but that's the only way is to talk about it and make it more normalized and naturalized in our mind, in our body, and in the conversations that we're having with each other, whether it's with women or even with men, you know?
Absolutely. And, the more we get comfortable with it, the more the men will as well.
Yeah,
And it's just going to bring a collective awareness around this situation and around how we think about women's bodies. And
really.
how can we go wrong if we're uplifting the woman? I mean, and that goes for all bodies, but specifically here we're talking about the woman, the womb, and
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Um I love to start my episodes with this question. So I hope this one's good for you. What makes you feel most in tune with your that bitch energy, aka the highest self?
Mm. I think it has to be dancing, preferably naked, preferably in front of a mirror, to my baddies playlist, to my pussy popping playlist, to and preferably Megan the Stallion, Cardi B, some badass, real badass bitches in this world that are doing that and bringing that energy through their music. Yeah, there's nothing better for me. It's like my number one go-to practice is dancing and intuitive movement, and just like letting my freak flag fly so high through the way I move and contort and express my body and the sounds that want to come out, and just, yeah, awakening that juicy energy that comes from being in the hips and in the knees and in this lower half of the body.
Mm.
As well, pussy popping, whatever you want to call it, like just shaking ass, right? Getting
Ugh.
down.
What do you recognize within yourself when you do that? Like, what's going on internally? I'd love to know.
Yeah, for me, I think it's getting what I like to call getting high on my own supply. So it's really about like awakening my Kundalini, activating my Shakti energy, which comes from the roots, from this womb sacral space, and really channeling that energy all around my body through the movement, through the sound, through the breath, and
Mm.
really just allowing me to take up space and feel so good and so high on my own energy that it's like, wow, like I don't need anything else other than myself and my connection to my body and to this energy. And it's really that energy that then comes up, and I just want to like explode it out my heart and like take up so much space and just feel my power on such a bigger level, and as much space as I can allow myself to take up, and do that in my own space.
Mm.
And then that gives me like the confidence and the power to then also do that like in the club or at the park or in public spaces, and speak my truth and share my sensuality and be more embodied and empowered in public spaces, not just in the privacy of my own home, but I get to practice that first in the privacy of my own home, right? And that's where I build that confidence and that trust and that connection that truly, for me, it's very rarely do I feel disconnected from that energy, because I'm constantly, and as you know, embodiment is a practice. It's not just something you do once and then you're good to go forever. No, it's a consistent practice of returning back to the self, of returning back to the body, of establishing that deep sensual self-aware connection to your body.
Mm. Wow, powerful. I can relate on so many things, so many points you've said here is like taking up space, and it's a continual practice, and
Yeah,
how that leads into your life and the way that you're leading your life and the way that you're talking to others and the way that you're are you hiding? Are you trying to be unseen and take up the least amount of space when you're around friends or family or just in public? Well, you can use this practice to open you up and
yeah,
to get comfortable with taking up space. And I love that you said that, because I too need those things to remind myself when I'm out, when I'm not alone. And so
yeah.
I thank you for giving us your experience with that.
Yeah. And it becomes like a drug. It really becomes like an addiction to being embodied, an addiction to being
Mm.
present. And like a really like, oh my God, like when I'm in my head, wait, I don't want to be there. So now I need to actually go back into my body and drop in, because as soon as you're caught up in the mind and the ego and the blah, blah, blah bullshit of the head, that's a sign, okay, I need to go to that yoga class. I need to stop, drop, and twerk. I need to like come back to the body, and constantly
Mhm.
using the body's cues as reminders to come back and to self regulate and to fill up your own cup before seeking that externally, before looking for that validation, that love, that energy from whether it's caffeine, sugar, friendships, lovers, partners, like wherever, fashion, the beauty industry, whatever, and really realizing that like all the things that we ever need are coming from within. And yeah, truly learning to get high on your own energy and become addicted to your own energy and self-obsessed with being in your most authentic, empowered energy.
Yes. Wow. I love the way you just said that. Wow. It's like so many things, like perfect, perfect downloads. Um, so we're seeing the Josie that's like the womb priestess, and she is embodied and she is dancing and she's in flow and she loves to take up space. What about the beginning? Like, where was Josie before that? Like, can we know a little bit of your story so I can understand how you've gotten to this point and how it isn't probably just as easy as you were born this way? I'd
Yeah.
love to know your story. I'd love it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share. I'm going to try and summarize because it's quite a long story. But basically, I was put on the pill, the contraceptive oral pill, at the age of 15 because
Mm.
I had menstrual cramps, PMS, crazy mood swings. I wasn't doing well at school for that 2 week period of my luteal menstrual phase. I was getting really bad grades. I just couldn't concentrate. And so the only solution that my mom saw was to put me on the pill. And my mom was also my doctor. And so I didn't really question it. And so at the age of 15, I went on the pill, and I was on the pill for 7 years. And over those 7 years, I just got more and more and more disassociated, more and more anxious, more and more struggling with depression and mood swings and super high highs and super low lows, and even suicidal ideations and really dark thoughts. And by the time I finished high school, I was an absolute mess. I was offered antidepressants so many times, and something within me always knew that that was not the solution. Something within me always knew that there was something deeper going on, but I just had no idea what. And I didn't have the tools and the education to truly understand what it was. And so in 2019, I was 23 at the time. I went to the gynecologist, and it was the first time I'd ever gone for a checkup. And I'd been in a long term relationship. And so my mom was like, no, you have to go. So I went for a checkup, and the gynae found a 5 by 5 centimeter cyst on my left ovary. And basically was like, we have to operate this immediately. Like, this is not good. Like, it's not going to pass with your cycle. And we need to book you in. So in 1 month's time, you're getting operated on. And I was like, what the hell? I just came here for a checkup, and now you're telling me I need to have an operation? Like, what? And it was just so
Shocking.
crazy. Yeah, so shocking, so crazy. Um, and I mean, I had felt the cyst in my body before during intercourse, but I didn't know what it was because I was so disassociated. So I had no idea about my own body and whether to trust what I was feeling, right? And then, yeah, in July, end of July 2019, I had this operation. And then after the operation, I went on it was a 6 month kind of descent, downward spiral, just dark night of the soul, spiritual awakening, initiation of the biggest proportion. And yeah, I just really went into the depths of all the childhood trauma that been suppressing, all of my anger issues, mental health issues, anxiety, depression, and really just trying to figure out like what is going on. Why am I so unhappy? And going to lots of talk therapy and really just going down the rabbit holes. And my gynae said to me, oh, you don't seem like the kind of girl that wants to be on the pill. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? She's like, oh, yeah, I know usually healthy girls don't want to be on the pill. And I was like, oh, what's wrong with the pill? And that's when I kind of started this journey of researching and digging, and someone randomly said to me, oh, like my mom's a naturopath and she says cysts are caused by the pill. And I was like, okay, all of these like informations are coming to me, and I just started digging and digging and doing my own research, and at the same time just losing more and more faith in the Western medical model. And that's when I started to just branch out and work with energy healers and start to go down the alternative healing route, and just take anything and work with anyone that I could to really just understand myself deeper. And then at the beginning of 2020, I came off the pill, and my mom was like, no, you can't not be on nothing, because I was still in a relationship. So then I got put in a copper IUD. And so my personal story is so deeply related to my womb story, and that's why I'm speaking about so much about my womb, because it really shows why I do this work. Because I went through so much trauma. Like, even when she put in the IUD, there was no painkillers, there was no nothing, and it was so fucking painful. Sorry to swear. It was so painful that, like, oh my God, I would never wish that pain on my worst enemy. It was so intense.
Mm.
And I just can't believe that, like, the doctors are not taking better care of their patients in these kind of situations. And then, yeah, a few months later, I was invited to do a red tent facilitation training with my friend. I literally had no idea what it was about. And I was just like, okay, let me just try this out. And it was exactly what I needed. It was a deep dive into my womb, into my relationship with the feminine, the mother wound, the sister wound, really just all these deep internal things, sitting in circle with 20 other women talking about like our deepest, darkest traumas, sexual assaults, all these sorts of really dark things that we never get to share about in normal conversation, really. And that was just so powerful, doing these deep tantric Taoist based Kundalini practices. And yeah, about a month later, so that was also at the beginning of COVID, so it felt so like aligned that like I was going on this deep dark journey while the whole world was like falling apart. And it really felt like the goddess was like there with us, you know. And then about a month later, I got my cycle back with the new moon on time, like perfectly 1 month later. And I was just so blown away, because I'd heard of women, you know, waiting like years to get their period back after coming off the pill. And then there was me 1 month later, after doing this deep intensive training, I realized, like, holy shit, the body has so much power to heal itself, because I didn't
Mm.
use anything. I didn't go to doctors. I didn't use hormone supplements. I didn't even use herbs, you know, like I love herbs now, but I didn't know about them at the time. And so all I used was my own body's energy, my own presence, and my connection to divine feminine energy, Kundalini Shakti energy, that was able to literally heal me and kind of kickstart and activate my womb. So it started to work again after 7 years of not being online, of being shut down and offline and disconnected. I hadn't bled in 7 years. And so that first cycle was like the biggest wave of relief that I've ever felt in my entire life. It's like almost like, you know, when you're really, really hot and then you dive into a cool, big ocean or lake, and you feel that refreshing feeling just like washing over you. It was like the same thing for me, but like on emotional, psychological, spiritual level. And it was just
Mm.
crazy. And then I spent the next 9 months integrating this wisdom and really applying it to my own life, and really changing my entire lifestyle, dedicating myself to my womb, to embodiment, to cyclical living, to going down the rabbit hole, learning so much more than what I had in the course. And really just, I love to learn. I love to gain new wisdom and information. And I just went down all these rabbit holes, and I was like, wow, there is really something really profound found here. And I think this is what I'm here to bring to the world. And so at the end of 2020, I started my business, Sync and Flow. And this business was the alchemization of my greatest pain into my greatest power. And yeah, really bringing that to the world. And also for those 2 years, I was also on the still had the copper IUD inside. And it was giving me so much pain as well every time I was intimate. And so then I finally realized, like 2 years later, like, no, I need to get this thing out my body. Like my womb needs to be completely set free. And
Mm.
really every time it was like experiencing a new side of myself, a new freedom on life, really. And it was so crazy. And I realized, like, wow, like we as women are so conditioned to just accept pain in our lives. You know, like life is painful, death is painful, birth is painful, periods are painful, relationships are painful, sex is painful, it's all fucking painful. And you're just meant to like shut the fuck up and get along with it, you know, and swallow your truth, right? And so I just realized, like, wow, there is so much deep conditioning in my body and in the body of every woman because of this patriarchal standard that we've grown up in, and how we haven't had doctors looking after our best interests. We haven't had all the systems looking after any of women's best interests. And so it really just turned me into a little bit of a radical feminist, I'm not gonna lie, and really made me started to see how the health of the woman is connected to the health of the earth. And I'm obsessed with ecofeminism and how it draws the ties and the parallels between the degradation of the feminine and the degradation
Mm.
of Mother Earth. And so I just started to realize, like, wow, this isn't just about me and my relationship to my womb and my period and my mental health. This is about the feminine at large. This is about like the healthcare system connected to our culture, connected to our politics, connected to our, you know, everything, our social structure, really, the entire social structure of the planet, and how it's set up to not support women and to make women suffer and to disempower women, and at the same time disempower men. And so I really just started to geek out on the cultural, social, anthropological, medical, spiritual, political intersections, ecological, geographical intersections of all these different topics and nuances, and how they have so many overlapping ideas, and how, you know, freedom for one is freedom for all. And so that's kind of just a little summary, and really just gaining tools along the way, diving deep into yoga, diving deep into meditation, doing Ista, doing Vipassana, doing a 5-gram mushroom journey, sitting with plant medicine. So really there was not just one tool. I've really been on a journey of utilizing so many different tools, and really working on a deep ancestral karmic level, combining energetic practices with physical, with plant medicine, with mental, and really just utilizing my curiosity to take me deeper and help me become more embodied in my power and in my truth, right? Um,
Mm.
yeah, and then about 2 years ago, I activated my channel and my light language, and so I started to kind of bridge this earthly womb, lower chakra energy, healing energy, with this higher realm, cosmic, galactic, cosmic, what unity consciousness energy, and really bridge this together. And even in Mayan astrology, I am a white world bridger, and so this has always kind of been my path, is to balance out the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark, the seen and the unseen, and bridge them together, and be the one to help people see the nuances and see how these things that are seemingly opposite are actually so deeply interrelated. And so now in my practice with my clients, I'm able to, yeah, really give them a multidimensional experience of healing and of embodiment.
Mm. Ooh, that was a beautiful transmission from you.
Thank
Like,
you.
I loved your story. There was so much there. Like, from the beginning to now, I'm like, where do I go in and
Yeah.
ask you about?
I know,
It's
it's
so
the
wonderful.
rainbow.
A thing that stuck out to me from, like, the beginning of the story, a little bit closer to the beginning, was, like, that doctor was like, "People like you don't take the pill." And I was like, that was like divine source, God, goddess coming into the room
Yeah.
and saying, "Hello, knock, knock, knock.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Maybe you should think about this more. Maybe
Yeah.
this isn't your path."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's so wild that you went in to get a checkup and then they were like, "Well, this is," and then when you did your research, you're like, "This could have caused this." First of all, thank you for sharing that super vulnerable story.
Thank you.
That's I honor you in sharing your vulnerable side and sharing it with the world for everyone to hear and for us to learn from and for us to take our own, we take what we want from stories and learn.
Yeah.
Um, and how you did your research and found out that that could have been the culprit or the cause in some way, or
Yeah.
at least furthered it forward. And I love how divine God, goddess was there with you and was giving you signs, was directing you in the path that led you ultimately to here today,
Mm,
helping women also on their path to
mhm,
finding their way.
mhm,
That
mhm.
is so powerful in itself, just that one part. And then there's so many other downloads that you were giving us and from your story. And I just, um, let's say someone watching is or listening is like, wow, like her story is so powerful. What's one thing, like, from your story, like, what's the first thing they can start with if they're feeling so disconnected from their womb, from their feminine, from, all things, that the patriarchy has told us to keep quiet? What is one thing you can give them from your story that might be, I know you said there's so many that
Yeah.
you use and utilize, but
Yeah.
what's something someone can start with that has never heard of this? Like, number one thing that maybe worked for you besides you doing your own research, maybe like a
Yeah.
practice or.
Well, firstly, I encourage every single woman to get the fuck off birth control, like hormonal birth control. That's the first thing, whether you're on the pill or the Mirena or the injection or the patch or whatever it is, the implants, whatever it is, get off hormonal birth control, okay? Because you're not cycling, you're not connected. Your brain has been disconnected from your womb on a biochemistry level, and so,
Mm,
therefore, you are literally severing your connection to this lower half of your body as well as your divine feminine energy. And so, that is like my first number one tip. Okay. And if you are too scared to not be on birth control, or you don't know how to track your cycle, there's always copper, there's always, alternative options like condoms and barrier methods. But truly, I really encourage every single woman to get off birth control, because there is not one benefit of being on birth control. And if you are listening and maybe you suffer from endometriosis, or you have really intense periods, like, why would you want to suppress that pain if it's
mm,
trying to show you that there is something that needs to be looked at? And so, unfortunately, a lot of women are using these these pills, or these fake hormones, not because they don't want to get pregnant, but actually because they're trying to suppress the symptoms of something else, and so most of the time you're not actually using it for what it's for. And so I really want you to see, like, maybe there's another way. Maybe I don't
mm,
have to suppress my body in order to heal it, right? Because the pill, and these hormonal things are not healing anything. They're just putting a band-aid over it, a plaster, and it's like, oh, I don't want to think about it now. Oh, I don't have time to heal that now. Oh, that's too much for me, you know. And unfortunately, that mentality is what is disassociating women and keeping them disconnected from their power, because unfortunately, like, we live in a very intense world. We live in a world where pain is very much present as a part of pleasure. And so, if you're suppressing your pain and choosing not to feel your pain, there's probably a very good likely chance that you're suppressing other things beyond the pain, and that being pleasure, joy, bliss, expansion, confidence, right? And so, really
Mm.
realizing like we live in a dualistic world, and you're not going to get your pleasure best filled life without coming to terms with the pain and the grief and the darker side of life, right? um so really, I think it's that first choice of like getting off the things that are suppressing you, whether it be antidepressants or hormonal birth control, getting off that stuff and choosing to go on a deeper journey of being willing to feel. Truly, it's that
Mm.
simple. Being willing to feel, no matter what comes up, and knowing that you are strong enough to face it, knowing that you are brave enough to face it, and also knowing that help is always available. And so you never have to go through a painful experience alone unless you choose to.
Mm. Absolutely. I can
And help
relate
is
with
still available, you know? Help is
yes.
always available, you know, and if you've been told by your gynecologist, oh, the pill is the only option, then like, baby girl, you need a second opinion, you know?
Yeah, search out for more opinions, more wisdom, more help from other people. And if you feel, if you're feeling so lost and no one, you feel like no one around you is saying what we're saying, reach out to us. We
Yeah,
will point you in a
we're here.
good direction that will help.
Yeah,
And don't feel like you're alone and that it's only us on, it's only us online. It's only the woo-woo people that you see online. No, we are happy to send you and give you the support and put you in the right path to get you that help. Even if we can't, there are sources that we can reach out to that will get you those answers and get
yeah,
you the help you need.
yeah, yeah.
And I believe in sisterhood, like you're saying, with the red, what was it called? The red
Tense.
tent. Ooh, I have to ask you about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Before I ask about the red tent, I do want to say I have a journey with birth control.
Mm,
I wanna just share
please.
that I was on yeah. It was crazy. I was on birth control since I was also maybe 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And I didn't stop until maybe my late 20s,
Mm,
and now I'm in my 30s and, like, I've been off of it, but only I've only been off birth control maybe 4 years, and when you were talking about the freedom you felt, I I noticed that in myself. I noticed I don't know if I, like, was as aware because I was still numbing when I first went off of it. I was still deciding to numb, to bury, to hide my cycle, my womanhood, my, my divinity in my womb and, like, connecting to my feminine. I was still figuring that stuff out at the time, but the freedom is like day and night when I think of when I was on the pill and when I was also on a shot for some time, um, to now. So many things that have opened up to me are feeling during intimacy, being able to enjoy myself, being able to feel the pleasure and to actually fully be present is now able I'm now able to tap into that. I can't tell you a time I felt that before, um, while being on the pill or being on the shot. I was so numb. You talked about when you were telling us your story about feeling suicidal tendencies, and I completely relate to that. I can think of so many times that I had that going through my mind, and I think
Yeah.
that's just so heartbreaking. Like it's so heartbreaking to think of me in that state of mind because I
Yeah.
enjoy life so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I cannot get back there right now, but I can remember her. I can remember that feeling, and I can empathize with her, and I can really hold her, and I can really remember how hard and how dark and how
Yeah.
numb
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah.
And so the freedom I feel today, I do give part of that to stopping my that pill or the shot. I
Yeah.
do give credit to quitting. And there's other things I quit. There's alcohol and self-sabotaging talk and all these
Yeah.
things, but that is a part of that journey.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for giving that reminder to me today because I kind of forgot. I was like, oh, I'm past that.
Yeah.
That's in the past, like whatever. It doesn't affect me, but it actually does because I can reflect and remember how much more free I am today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to get that out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I just want to give one more tip for the girls who are maybe off birth control and past that. The next
Mhm.
best thing is to connect with your cycle. Cycle
Mm.
consciously. Learn about your cycle. Learn about it from a biological level, a scientific
Mm.
level, but also learn about it from emotional level, a spiritual level, a mental health level, and learn about the foundations of your own hormones and how important they are. I have a masterclass on my shop called Hormonal Harmony that if you're interested, you can go and purchase from my website. But really learning about the fundamentals of what does it mean to be a woman and how are we as women different to men in our biological scientific makeup of our bodies, and really just like geeking out over your cycle, learning about it, but then also engaging with your cycle, connecting with your blood, touching your blood, smelling your blood. If you're brave enough, tasting your blood, maybe putting it on your face as a face mask, painting your body, painting it on paper, drawing with it, painting with it, getting creative with it, using it in ritual. I'm sure all of your listeners are pretty spiritual, witchy, woo woo girls anyway. And so I'm probably just preaching to the choir here, but just engage with your blood on a deeper level, pray with it and gift it. Don't you dare throw it down the toilet, baby girl. Please gift your blood,
Mm.
mix it with water and gift it to Mother Earth because she is dying to receive our connection, our blood, our substances. And this is how we start to heal Mother Earth as well as our own bodies and start to really form that deeply spiritual reciprocal relationship with the earth at the same time as healing ourselves. And it's also really cool. Your veggies and your plants and your herbs can grow 10 times stronger and faster and bigger and more nourishing if you nourish your plants and your vegetables with your cycle blood. So it becomes this whole beautiful practice of looking at the moon, looking at the seasons, looking at your cycle, looking at your body, observing the patterns and tracking them. I also have a free cycle PDF. I will make sure Bianca links that in the description below. It's a cycle tracker, and so you can really start to see like, okay, like every month on day 21 I start acting like a bitch, or every month on
Mm.
day 25 I feel really dysregulated and insecure. Oh, okay, now I can see that that's an actual pattern. Okay, now I have this data. I can start to actually make sure that I do my yoga every single day in that time, or I make sure I double down on my self-care. I make sure I go to therapy on that day. I make sure I ask for more support. I make sure to maybe sleep in a little bit more, get more sleep, rest, eat more calories, whatever it is, giving yourself more self care as an antidote to noticing the symptoms that are coming up.
Mm. Wow. I needed that. I needed that download too. I loved learning about the blood and putting it in the soil and creating art with it and rubbing it on your skin. I
It's
I have
so
yet to do that.
it's so high in stem cells and nutrients. It will literally heal acne scars. If you do it regularly, your blood will heal acne scars. It will heal your skin. It will return your skin to its most vibrant state. Truly, it's so powerful. And then mixing it with water, feeding it to the earth, it's such a beautiful process, and it takes us back to really ancient indigenous primal memory, of this memory
Mm,
of being so deeply connected to the earth and what it was like to live like that, and we're awakening this ancient consciousness of being connected to the earth and remembering we are all indigenous to planet earth.
absolutely. We are made up of the same materials. We of Earth and the stars, and we
Yeah,
can connect. We can Isn't that what we're here to do, is reconnect and stop being so disconnected. We're always disconnected, and that's another patriarchal conditioning is
yeah,
in our thoughts, and we need to be on this 24-hour clock when that's just not the way we work as
yeah,
women,
yeah,
as biological women. And I love how you said get obsessed. I
yeah,
have barely scratched the surface of obsession. I am learning about my phases. I am learning about, oh, I realize I get really moody right here. I am so hungry. I want all the chocolate.
yeah,
It sounds basic, but it's literally what I feel.
yeah.
And at this time, and I'm just now learning, and I'm finally getting a regular routine and understanding it.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Um, and it seems to be more regular than I've ever had in my life,
beautiful.
as you know, because I was on birth control for like
So long.
over 10 something years,
Wow,
and
wow, yeah.
so irregular, so unhappy. And now to feel free and regular and able to tap into why and to receive when I'm bleeding and when I'm shedding, when I'm really hurting. It's like, what are you trying to tell me? Where am I where am I not honoring myself? Where am I not listening to myself
Yeah,
here? And when we suppress it by getting rid of it, ignoring it, shoving a tampon in without asking our bodies if it's
yeah,
welcome to that,
yeah, yeah.
um, when I don't listen to that,
The
I'm
symptoms
just
get
suppressing the
worse.
pain.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
get worse. They really do get
Mm,
worse. So I really want to encourage all of your listeners to realize that symptoms are not life sentences. They are not,
mm,
you have this symptom and now you're stuck with it forever. No, symptoms are purely just messengers from the body that something is not right. Symptoms of pain and dysregulation are really just messengers from the body that, hey, pay attention. Hey, something's not right. Hey, there is a deficiency. Hey, I need more rest. Hey, I need more magnesium. Hey, I need more self love. Hey, I need more self connection, truly. And what my womb mentor said to me was that PMS actually stands for provide me space. And so
mm,
PMS is a symptom of women who do not spend enough time taking care of themselves, who do not prioritize themselves first, who maybe be stuck in people pleasing tendencies, who maybe don't rest in their who don't rest in their menstrual cycle, who don't rest in their luteal phase, who push it too hard and expend their energy and give their energy out, 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 and forget to bring their energy back to themselves and fill up their own cup and go to the yoga class and connect to their body at the most basic level, right? So symptoms are truly
mm,
fall in love with your symptoms and be grateful for the symptoms showing you of where you can improve your lifestyle, of where you can give yourself more self-love. Because it's like if we didn't have the symptom of pain and we put our hand over the fire, we wouldn't know
Mm.
that our fingers were burning, right? So the pain from the burn is a symptom of danger. Get away, right? Fix the environment, fix the situation. Otherwise, our hands would just burn, and they would burn and we wouldn't even know that they were there, right? And so realize that the symptoms are truly just messengers and guidance along a path of coming back into alignment, course correcting, putting all the necessary measures in place so that you can mitigate the pain and lessen the symptoms. And knowing that, like, if I was able to heal my PMS, heal my cramps, heal my pain, heal so much that I've been able to on my journey, if I can do it, so can you. And
Mm.
everyone that is listening, no matter what symptoms you think you have, and no matter what doctor has told you, this is what you're gonna be stuck with for life, and you're never gonna have children, and blah 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 blah. Like, don't let them tell you this, because it's simply not true. And the
Mm.
body, and there are so many miracle cases all around the world of women falling pregnant when they never thought they were able to. And, all these things that we've been able to heal. I've heard of people healing endometriosis completely. I've heard of people healing PCOS completely, once and for all, forever. And so it's really about going to the deeper layers and deconstructing the mind from this Western medical system that tells us we are just a physical body. And like, if you are born with this, then now that's just how it's going to be for the rest of your life. And
Mm.
you must take these drugs for the rest of your life. And I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And unfortunately,
Mm.
it's a fat lie that we've been sold by Big Pharma, by the Western medical industrial complex, for the very reason that we stay codependent to these systems and industrial complexes that keep us disconnected, that keep us disassociated, right? So truly, your symptoms are not forever. If you don't want them to be, it's all a choice, and you get to choose whether you want to heal or not. I was just so fucking desperate. I came to this work because I was so desperate, right? I didn't come to
Mm.
work because I was like, oh, love and light, let's just like divine feminine, la la la, like, no, like, it's not about that. I came to this work because I was desperate and in such a bad place. I had no other option.
And how powerful you alchemize your pain into this powerful gift that you're giving to the world, and you're teaching and you're helping and you're providing a space and you're supporting, and that is true power. That is woman pussy power. Yes. At every level, and I think that's so inspiring to hear from you.
Thank you.
um and you're so right. The stories are ongoing of women being told they cannot have children, or are constantly having, and rest in peace to their wanted children,
Yeah,
are having miscarriages.
yeah, yeah.
And I want to honor those people for even sharing those stories, because
Yeah,
they are
painful.
dark, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
break my heart. and
yeah, same.
and they figure out what is going on. Why is it not, like, why am I not able to bring this into fruition fully? And they find ways to heal themselves, and then they're having multiple children after, and they never have an
Yeah,
issue.
yeah,
It's like, why allow this one way of thinking, and one way, which, like you said, is big pharma probably leading them to say these things? Why just listen to one person, one opinion, when you have multiple sources and they're coming out left and right? We are becoming louder, we are accepting it more, and and this is why we're here, to have these conversations, to share that it's not just one way.
yeah,
There's
totally.
multiple ways to go about finding your answers, and if you want it, like you said, it's a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And not being
Mm.
afraid of what's on the other side of this journey, and really being curious and brave enough to ask the questions, and knowing that once you
Mm.
start asking the questions, God starts sending you the answers, even if it's
Yes.
not like straight away, like, oh, I need A, then B. It's like, no, the answers will come in little micro intuition downloads, insights, people, connections, whatever, signs, whatever, they come in really small ways if you're open to receiving them and if you're listening. That's the most important thing. It's like, are you listening to your body? Are you listening to your intuition? Are you listening to your heart? Are you listening to higher guidance, your higher self? Are you listening to the way that God, Goddess speaks to you through the world around you, right? And once you
Mm.
start listening, you can't actually stop, because it becomes so obvious. Like, it's not just about seeing 111 on the microwave anymore. It becomes so much more than that.
I love that. Oh yeah, and we're quick. We are quick to be like, like the signs are there, and it's like, well, actually, I'm hearing them now.
Yeah.
Um, Instead of just seeing them outside of me, they're inside of me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Totally.
a huge thing for me was disgust in my body,
Mm,
um, and shame. And
yeah.
we've briefly talked about shame and disgust, and how hard that was for me to get over.
Yeah.
And I noticed I was allowing other people to be disgusted by my body, like, people
Yeah.
I was with, and they're like, "Ew," and it's like I'd be like, "I know, it's disgusting." And I'm like, "Ac actually, it's divine, and I'm privileged to have this opportunity to
Yeah.
bleed and to
Yeah.
release and to be on a whole different cycle than men are." I feel very honored, and I think with all the issues that we're seeing, not only like it can go all the way to the politics, right, and the issues in the world. It
Yeah.
starts right here. It
It
starts
really
right here
does.
with your everything you got, girl.
Yeah.
All your goodies. How are you talking about her? Are you holding like space to allow it to feel like when you are in pleasure, or in intimacy? Um, are you telling people don't like I'm hiding that I'm on my period. I don't want anyone to know because it's so shameful. Like I think, starting there is so crucial for me, and um that's changed my life for the better forever. And I
Yeah.
also want to get into talking about it with others because you were talking about the red tent.
Tense. Yes, yes.
Yes,
So I love
I
that
would
you
love to know
mentioned
more.
this thing about shame, because shame is like the number one block to why we experience womb issues. Actually, so much is blocked by shame. And so once we get over the
Mm,
shame, like, so much freedom comes and so much heals and releases, because the shame is like so fucking powerful to disassociate us and cause psychosomatic issues, right? It's all actually psychosomatic. I'd say 99% of womb issues are psychosomatic because of trauma, because of shame, because of blockages and assault and whatever, we've experienced.
mm,
um, and that's why women's circles, specifically red tent circles, are so, so powerful. So for those of you who don't know, I'll just quickly explain. The red tent is an international organization. It's not owned by anyone. Anyone can initiate into it and adopts its principles and values. um, and the red tent is based on ancient traditions and ancient times, where when we used to live in tribal cultures as women, we would all be connected. All of our cycles would be synced. And so we would all be bleeding over the new moon and ovulating over the full moon, because of the lack of electricity. Electricity actually messes with our hormonal cycles are dictated by light. So anyway, in the ancient days, we were all synced up to the same cycle, and so over the new moon, we would all disconnect ourselves from society, go out of the way from the men, and all the women, the bleeding women, would gather together in the space called the red tent, the menstrual hut. And it would be this beautiful space for women of all ages to come together and sit in circle and share their medicine, share their truths. It would be this beautiful cross pollination of wisdom and information between the young woman would learn from the older women, and the older woman would share their wisdom, their life lessons to the younger woman, and they would all sit in circle and in ceremony and pray and sing and dance and free bleed into the earth, so directly bleed into the earth, and yeah, just really celebrate what it means to be a woman. And this is also where the mysteries of the divine feminine were passed down to the women, and so women were initiated into what it means to be a woman, what it means to have this portal that is the womb, this portal between worlds, between the spiritual realm and the physical realm, the womb being the only portal powerful enough on earth to bring unborn souls into this realm, right, from the other side. And so what does it mean to hold that power within us, and what is the responsibility that we as women hold in ourselves and in our psyches by having this power? So
Mm.
truly, it was a really powerful space for women to really just learn and be initiated and have that support network, most importantly, of sharing with the women in their tribe, in their community, and knowing that they weren't alone. And so it was this really powerful space. And so the Red Tent in modern times is trying to bring back this community aspect of being a woman, of sharing together, and realizing like there is some stuff that we as women need to talk about without men present. And so it's not like a sexist thing, it's a very important spiritual thing of gathering the
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood and bringing women together to learn and feel safe enough to share with each other. Also in these spaces, this is where women were initiated into their sexuality. So women were often initiated into their sexuality by other women. And so that becomes a really safe, profound, sacred way of women coming into their power. You know, most of us probably have really horrendous stories of losing our virginity, and yeah, it's scary and it's sad, and like I grieve my younger child, for my younger self, for not knowing the power of my body and not knowing how to respect and love my sexuality, right? And grieving all the ways I disrespected that. And so really red tent circles are where we get to talk about these taboo topics, are where we get to share our pain, are where we get to do deep shadow work in sisterhood, in community, you know, and realizing like if one woman's story is just a reflection of my own story, right? And so we all have
Mm-hmm.
like the same shit, different story, right? And also realizing that like if you may be triggered by another woman and what she is saying, like using that trigger as the shadow work protocol, like you're now doing real life shadow work in that room of being confronted, of being triggered, of realizing, oh, there's a wound here that needs to be healed, oh, there's something in me that needs to be set free and looked at and done shadow work around.
Mm. And that helped. I bet red tables, red tents, like gatherings are so powerful in the sense of like I have definitely have woman like wounds, like with the feminine, it's like hard to connect. It's been hard for me to connect in my life overall. It's getting better and better as I grow older and learn and go through my shadows to connect with women. But if we had connected all together as women in a tent, once a month together, like the woman wounds or the sister wounds is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be
So
like so
prevalent.
prominent in our
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah,
It would
exactly.
be less and less of that, and that would bring
Exactly.
so
Because
much
we would
power.
trust each other. Yeah, we would trust each other
Absolutely.
because we had that foundation of trust and sovereignty and sacred connection in community. And so then there wouldn't be
Mhm.
all this competition and backstabbing and bullshit and gossiping because we learned to love and trust each other first, right?
Mhm. And there's so many stories of like friends and my own story of like when you were younger having a girl completely act like your bestie and then go to someone else and say you were the worst person ever and they hate you.
Yeah.
Or you have a boyfriend or a guy that you like and they're like, I'm going to take him from you. And it's like
Literally.
there's so many stories
Ugh.
that I've heard, not only in my own story, but all women I've heard. And it's like what a trauma thing that we've all gone through that's made us all not trust other women. Like
Yeah.
when that's just not the true nature of us, it was just taught to us to not trust each other.
Yeah.
That is not our true nature. We are supportive. We are in our core mothers, like, or we have that motherly, like,
Yeah.
nurturing energy about us.
Yeah.
And I don't allow that to be my conditioning anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
From here on, and from, I mean, I've been saying this for a while, but I no longer allow those sister wounds to control my thoughts when I approach women,
Yeah.
because
Beautiful.
that's not, no. We are going to connect. We are going to form these groups of women like the red tent, and I love to share this with anyone who's listening, the red tent information, if I can, if you could share that with me, or I can even go find it, because I want to figure out how I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, there should be red tent circles. I mean, there's a difference between a women's circle and a red tent circle. Women's circles are
Okay.
more about like love and light, and red tent
Mm,
circles are about shadow work and about talking about shame and confronting the taboo and confronting the shame and being willing to, yes, dance and celebrate and connect to love and light, but not doing that to bypass the shadow and the shame and the taboo, right? And so the beauty
right.
of red tent is it's like, let's do the shadow work and then celebrate afterwards and integrate the light and the dark, right? Whereas most traditional women's circles or modern women's circles are very much just love and light and fairies and butterflies, and like that's great, sometimes we all need to be connected, but like they're not as practical or as deep as a red tent circle is. And red tent circles really where we get to really harvest the juice of what are our blocks and have those blocks reflected back to us at a very real, tangible level by the woman in that space with us. So, yeah, if you can find a red tent circle, I highly encourage it.
Thank you for sharing that information and also for clarifying that it's different than a woman's circle, as that is not something I understood yet till you told me.
Yeah,
Um,
like a red tent is a women's circle, but it's so much deeper that when it's a red tent women's circle than when it's just a women's circle, you know, and obviously that depends on the facilitator, but this is my awareness around that difference.
Oh, thank you so much. And I will definitely, if I can find a way to share resources to find red tent communities in your area, I will share that in my show notes. And also, I just want to say thank you to Josie. I'm going to share all your information in the show notes, but is there anything you want to share before we end the episode? Like how to
Um
find you, or how can people find you and reach out to
Yeah,
you?
well, if this is tickling your brain, if you are interested in healing your womb, reconnecting to your feminine energy, healing sexual trauma, you can go to my website, which is syncinflow.com, syncinflow.com. And all of my links are there. I have a YouTube channel, I have a podcast, I have, and I'd love to have you also on my podcast, actually, while we're at it. I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram, and yeah, I would love to connect with you guys over there. I also have on-demand resources, mini courses, masterclasses, workshops for sale on my shop, as well as a 6-week live program called Liberated Womb. This is my absolute baby. She has been birthed last year after really 5 years of me doing this work on my own, integrating it, embodying it, and seeing this work really work. You know, I've had clients do Liberated Womb. They've been 22, and I've also had clients who are 49. And so it doesn't matter whatever age you are, this work still works. And I've seen those results in my clients of any and all ages. And so it doesn't really matter where you are on your journey, this work still works because it works at an energetic quantum level, at the subconscious level, at the deepest level possible. And so, yeah, I would love to see you inside. I also do one-to-one private coaching. And all of this is online. So wherever you are in the world, you can get in contact with me. And yeah, thank you so, so much. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And to all the beautiful women who are or will hope to reach out to me after this, I really look forward to receiving your messages, and just send me a DM on Instagram, subscribe to my newsletter. And yeah, I'm really excited to just share this work with the world. Like I said before we started recording, I've recently decided to move from Cape Town, South Africa, to Berlin, Germany, to really just take myself more seriously and take this work more seriously, because I have a really big mission, and this work needs to be shared with so many people. This information is not known, especially in spiritual communities. I'm surprised how under resource this information is, and to really give women this empowerment from within, it's like my greatest gift, my greatest pleasure, my soul's purpose. And so yeah, I'm not afraid to say, like, I'm here to go big. I don't want to be famous because Josie's ego wants to be famous. I want to be famous because this work needs bigger platforms, and it needs to be shared on platforms like TEDx and Mind Valley. And yeah, like it needs to be known now. And now is the time of the goddess rising. And I'm so proud of every single woman, and yourself included, who is doing this work and choosing to feel despite the pain, and choosing to show up again and again, and invest money and invest time and invest energy into your self healing. And I know in the beginning it feels dark, it feels lonely, it feels hard, it feels so slow and like nothing's happening. But I promise you, consistency and just showing up again and again and again, it really does make a massive difference. And if yeah, I am not the same person who I was a year ago, let alone 5 years ago. And the way that I've been able to grow and expand myself, and just heal social anxiety and depression and all these things, you know, like I seriously do not even recognize who I was 5 years ago. And like, if knowing that if it's possible for me, it is 100% possible for you and everyone listening, you know. And so really we can do it. And enough is enough of us healing alone in isolation. The way of the feminine is to heal together, and this is what Red Tens taught us, is that healing happens so much faster when we do it in community, when we can alchemize it together, right? Enough is enough of like this individualistic, hyper independent boss bitch energy. Like, no, babe, we need to do it together. We need to be holding each other's hands. We need to be accountable and supporting and showing up for each other and helping us to remember, right? Because you cannot see yourself without the reflection of the other. And so that's how we get to do it, and we get to really like help each other along the way and support each other and create this global network of sisterhood. You know, even this afternoon, sorry to rant so much, but even this afternoon, like, I was at lunch and there was a woman sitting by herself, next to the table next to us with her baby. And I was looking at this baby and I was like, oh, such a cute baby. Like, oh my God. And she was all by herself. And like, obviously, it's like, it's a lot. And I said, how old is your baby? I was like, 3 months. And she was like, no, 6 weeks. And I was like, oh my God, that is so like fresh, like crazy. And then I was like, yeah, like, can you just let me know if you need anything? Because I could tell she was completely alone. And I said to her, like, if you need anything, please let me know if I can help you, And she was like, yeah, no, maybe. And then just as she got up to leave, she was like, can you please just like tighten this thing on the baby carrier thing just for me at my back that I can't reach? And I was like, sure, no problem. And so this is how we can start to show up more for women in the world, is like helping older women get down the stairs of the train station, offering pregnant women if they need some help or assistance, like really showing up for each other, even if it's strangers, right? And breaking down those barriers of hyper individualism and showing up with sisterhood. And if there's a girl in the bathroom who needs a pad or a tampon and you can help her, amazing. And if you're the one that needs a pad or a tampon, fucking ask the girls in the bathroom. Don't feel shy. Don't feel ashamed. Like, be willing to bridge that gap and like know that like the global network of sisterhood is here and we are rising. And I really feel it so strongly. And so it's really just about being present, being available, and knowing that you can ask for help, but you can also give help to people who are in need. And that is the beauty of abundance. It comes and it goes, and you can receive as much as you give.
Thank you so much for saying. You've touched so many things. I'm learning so much from you. I know everyone listening is probably learning so much from you. So I want to say thank you for taking the time to be on this podcast with me, That Bitch Energy, because you are embodying that bitch. I just have to say.
Thank
And
you.
so I want to
I
say
really feel it.
yes. And so thank you again. And I can't wait to have you again. Like, I'm going to ask you
Yes.
again
I was about
to
to
come
say,
on
I
the
think we need to
episode.
do a second episode for sure. Yeah, then we
Absolutely. I
can
have
get
more
into pussy
questions.
power. Yeah, then we can get into badass bitch pussy power energy. And yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much, Bianca. This has been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Can't wait for the next one.
Ciao, babe. Thank you.
All right, my loves, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me here on That Bitch Energy, the podcast. It would mean so much to me if you subscribe, share, like, follow, however it is you want to support, so I can keep making these episodes for you, because we're here to raise this planet together. It means the world so that we can reach other baddies just like you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing yourself by listening to the Soul Filling podcast. I'll see you in the next one. Nobody's seen a bitch like me. I'ma come up on ya. Ain't nobody warned ya about a bitch like this.